Just this week, I decided to buy Elden Ring. I'm only 2 hours in, but this is my first Souls game, so I've been seeing the "you died" screen a lot. This game doesn't try to hold your hand at all, and after completing the tutorial, you step out into a world of complete unknown, kind of just expected to figure things out on your own. As I was experiencing this, I started to think about difficulty and how it's handled in other games such as racing games, where the focus is often more about timing than exploration. After a bit of thinking, I've come up with a bit of a theory: the best racing games have subtle difficulty options. So what do I mean by this? Well, I think it's best described with an example. So you know how in Forza Horizon 5, when you're doing well in a race, it'll prompt you to move up a difficulty? Well, you get better rewards for doing that, but the AI is noticeably faster. Going from above average to unbeatable is going to shock those who haven't tried it yet. The game will match the Drivatar's cars to yours to even the playing field, but they will cheat to keep up with you if you manage to get ahead. The way difficulty works in this case is not subtle in the slightest. It isn't fun to have the AI players destroy you when you're running evenly matched cars, when you can drop down a difficulty level and just absolutely plow by them. The problem with this is they don't try to hide it. It doesn't feel natural when the AI is now twice as fast as before. Sure, it works as intended, they're more challenging to race against, but it comes from a magic speed boost from the mist, I don't know, rather than actual driving skill. This reminds me of older Need for Speed games where AI cars would gain a shocking amount of speed if you get ahead, and then just rocket past you in the Honda Civic while you're doing 300 in a Lamborghini. Any sense of immersion you once had is just gone in that case. So that's a pretty common theme in a lot of racing games. A lot of games have this problem, but what about the other end of the spectrum? What is a game that actually has a subtle difficulty? Well, it turns out that SnowRunner is a Souls-like game. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but the way they approach difficulty is similar. SnowRunner is really only as hard as you make it. The game is a sandbox, sometimes literally, where you have objectives, but you choose how you want to complete them. The game will say, deliver this fuel trailer across the map, and you can choose how you want to do that. Which truck to use, which route to take, which backup truck to send after your first plan inevitably fails. The difficulty comes from multiple areas, the first being vehicle choice. Some are just better at things than others, and your game knowledge is tested to know how to approach things efficiently. You can make things harder for yourself by using highway trucks in the mud where they don't belong, or by taking the hardest route possible, often by accident. This is a lot more natural than the way Forza and the Need for Speed games do things. The player's own choices and knowledge of the game are the difficulty in SnowRunner, thus is the nature of the sandbox. I realize that SnowRunner isn't exactly the best apples to apples equivalent when you're considering Forza and Need for Speed. I know there are time trials, but it's not really a racing game per se. The only clock you have is your own. But enter Dirt Rally. I think Dirt Rally has got a unique angle on this, because the difficulty comes from its commitment to rally above all else. Rally racing in real life is very difficult. Driving on narrow roads with obstacles littering the sidelines, just watch a video on rally crashes to see how quickly things can go wrong. One slip up, game over. Dirt Rally tries to emulate this tension and therefore, by its very nature, is a difficult game. Some of you may argue and try to tell me it's easy, but let's be honest, for anybody new to simulation games who's used to Forza and the like, Dirt Rally is going to kick their butt on any difficulty. The challenge is getting through the course without flying into the forest. Only after that can you focus on actually getting a good time. This method of difficulty is also subtle. It blends perfectly with the thing that the game is trying to emulate. People play Dirt Rally specifically because of its difficulty, and other rally-inspired games fall off over time because they lack it. I think that the games which stand out the most are the ones that have subtle difficulty options. Whether that's through a sandbox or by adhering closely to its real-life counterpart, racing games that lack subtlety and difficulty aren't as satisfying to play, especially when the AI is blatantly cheating in order to provide a challenge. Good games don't need to rely on things like that to make things harder. It's better to trust the player and give them the tools they need to succeed without holding their hand. I hope that larger developers can see that fact and apply it more in the mainstream arcade titles, such as the new Need for Speed that's coming out, and the next Forza Horizon. At least until then, we can join together to make fun of Forza's cheating drivatars. May they blast through river crossings without slowing down forever.